guys, so for the first part of my study session, I'm going to do question from 5-4. I'm going to do number 35 about truck rentals. So the question is, a truck rental company charges $61 per day for running a medium-sized truck. There is also a charge of 45 cents per mile. So the first part of the question is, write a function rule to model the cost of running a truck for a day and driving a certain amount of miles. So the function rule is going to be C parentheses M equals 61 plus 45 cents per mile. So that's going to be our function rule. And the next part of the question is, evaluate your rule if the amount of miles equals 65 and 102. So for evaluating for if there's 65 miles, you are going to put 65 in for M, so you're going to get C parentheses 65 equals 61 plus 45 cents times 65. So what you're going to get there is C equals $90.25. So that's how much you're going to cost if you drive 65 miles. And if you drive 102 miles, you're going to fill in 102 for M, and you are going to get 106.90. And that's how much it's going to cost if you drive 102 miles. Now for C, you return your truck to the rental company and pay $75.40. So how many miles did you drive? So what you're going to do is first subtract 61 from 75.40 here, minus 61, and then you get $14.40, and then you divide that by 45 cents, because that's your rate, and you get 32 miles. Okay. And the last part of the problem is, if you need to rent your truck for 2 days and you plan to drive 150 miles a day, how much is that going to cost? So what you're going to do is you're going to get the equation C M equals 2 times 61, because you're driving 2 days, plus 45 cents times 300, because you're driving 150 times 2 days is going to get you 300 miles. So when you do the math, you get C equals $257 for 2 days driving 300 miles. So that's your final answer for D. Alright, so the next question that we are going to do is number 41, and that is, hold on, let me find it, sorry. Okay, sorry. So the question is, the function Sx, sometimes called the signum function, is defined as Sx equals 1 if x is greater than 0, 0 if x is equal to 0, and negative 1 if x is less than 0. So So, for example, S17 equals 1. So, if you evaluate some problem, so let's say that the problem is S parentheses 2. So, since 2 is greater than 0, hold on, S2 equals question mark. Okay, so since 2 is greater than 0, then S is going to equal 1. If the equation is S times 0, S is going to equal 0 because you're multiplying by 0. And if the equation is S parentheses negative 1.5, then S is going to equal negative 1 because negative 1.5 is less than 0. So the second part of the problem is if the domain of the function is all real numbers, what is the range? So this is basically just pretty simple. So the range is going to equal negative 1, 0, and 1. Because if you multiply by any real number, you're automatically going to get either of these three numbers. So that's going to be your range. And for C, if you want to do a table and graph, a table is going to look like something like this. We do X and Fx. So the only x's you're going to have are negative 1, 0, and 1. So then automatically you're going to have negative 1, 0, and 1. And what your graph is going to look like is you're going to have 1 for if x is greater than 0. You're going to have 1 align if x is equal to 0, and have a line if x is less than 0. So that's it. Thanks for listening.